I arrived in the Canal Zone in September of 1964, which was 9 months after the January 9th riots in Panama City, which, of course, received a lot of press here in the United States. It was somewhat of a challenge to come on down after the riots had caused such a terrific rift between the Republic and the United States, but we saw it, having just been newly married, my wife and I saw it as a challenge for us too. So when we got here, things were still pretty raw, but we're healing over at that point.
Its traditional units welcome newcomers with a packet of some sort. Gerry Fry's welcome packet was a reel of 16mm film of his predecessor.
One of the first things that I was shown when I took my new job and settled in at my desk was 16mm film of him being stabbed in Shaler Triangle at a ceremony when they were putting up the double flagpoles there. They said, "Welcome to Panama, here's what happened to your predecessor."
Gerry Fry came from commercial radio and television, and he arrived at a station with more creativity than discipline or equipment.
So my challenge was to try to take a young upstart network that was full of mostly draftees and mostly very professional broadcasters who had been drafted out of the commercial field, who were literally playing radio and television. The first thing, of course, that hit me in the face was the lack of equipment and lack of people. We had, I think, around 52 people authorized at the time to run both radio and TV. The television studio was black and white, barely equipped with enough light to illuminate the picture for some very cheap industrial-grade Vidicon cameras, which meant the studio was terribly hot. People had to work under these lights.
Buying new equipment solved those problems, but there was a situation new cameras or years of commercial experience couldn't solve. It's a problem every program director at SCN has faced.
We could not program everything that came to us in the weekly package, and that was turned out to be my biggest challenge of everything, was trying to figure out how to get some decent programming on television when well over 35 to 40% of the top-rated programs that we got every week could not be shown since they were on the air on channels 2 and 4 in Panama.
It would take over 30 years and the introduction of cable to even partially solve the problem. But there were more successes than failures, along with some innovative and creative thinking. Fry, through his contacts at AFRTS in Los Angeles, had them ship videotapes of sporting events to SCN. Meanwhile, in Panama, SCN engineers tweaked video recorders, enabling them to play back tapes in color. So while AFRTS audiences worldwide saw black and white film versions of sporting events, folks in Panama saw them in color via videotape. It also caused the PX to carry color TVs for the first time. Then one day, the president of the West Point Society of Panama visited SCN with an interesting proposal.
And they wanted to bring in the Army-Navy game by live satellite. Never happened in the history of AFRTS anywhere in the world. So I naturally grabbed at that thought. That was wonderful. How do we do it? So I made some phone calls and found out it was technically possible. We could do it with microwave shots from the Earth station. One problem, how do we pay for the whole game? They only had enough money for half a game. So we had to make a decision. Do we carry the first half or the second half? Well, our better senses prevailed and we carried the second half, of course, so we get the end of the game. But that was the first satellite transmission ever in Armed Forces radio and television service, and didn't cost SCN a cent.
1968 was notable for another event, one that would have parallels in 1989. One night, about 11 days after the election of Arnulfo Arias as the president of Panama, SCN got word there was fighting in Panama City.
We all went dashing out to Building 209 to stand by, and we found out that a coup was taking place. General Omar Torrijos was, in fact, overthrowing the Arnulfo Arias government. There was shooting all along Balboa Boulevard in Panama City. We were getting reports from Americans living there that they were getting very, very dangerous. And Julio and his wife came running into the Canal Zone. We put them up in our own quarters at Fort Clayton for several days so that he would not be in harm's way. Needless to say, it was a heartbreaking situation for him and for all of the Arnulfistas, as they called them. And Torrijos came to power, and of course he was the one that signed the Panama Canal Treaty with Jimmy Carter.